Welcome to Dan the Cleaning Man channel, where we help you build and grow a successful commercial cleaning business. Whether you're just starting out or looking to expand, we provide expert tips, step-by-step guides, and proven strategies to help you succeed. Subscribe now and join our community to stay ahead in the commercial cleaning industry.
Well, welcome everyone back to Dan the Cleaning Man. We also got another Dan, and we call him Dan the Man.
Yep. Two Dans.
Two Dans. He is on his back patio, just relaxing, taking it all in, and yeah.
There's some Blicky lights. There you go.
But I appreciate Dan joining me. I want to go ahead and let him introduce himself to you, and then we'll kind of dig into it. Me and Dan have known each other for a long time, and from Blockbuster days to many different industries. So I thought it would be interesting to get him on and share his insights of his journey. So Dan, go ahead and take it off. Yes.
So let's call it a journey. Yeah, we
Yes.
met at Blockbuster where, gosh, let me think. I was in a group of 12 people that was the first Star Maker training. Remember, they released the Star Maker training manuals. And we were the first group of store managers to come out of that. And you put me in Ennis, Texas. Remember Ennis, Texas?
Yes.
Yeah, that was crazy. Clean up that big old back room with all those. It was probably a couple of thousand VHS covers that were thrown on the floor. You could literally walk across them and they were like 4 feet deep. So it's craziness.
Oh, it was a big warehouse. Yeah, a lot of work.
Yeah.
A lot of.
It was the warehouse for the entire Dallas-Fort Worth area. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was crazy. Used to be a grocery store.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very much so.
So, yeah.
Well, go ahead and introduce yourself, Dan. Yeah, just give it.
Yeah, Dan Keels. Known Mr. Norris for probably 20 years now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now working at IFS with Danny in the capacity of salesman. So kind of everybody said, "Oh, you could be a salesman." So now I am. So there you go. Didn't take long. Only 20 years.
Only 20 years.
Yeah. Went from selling popcorn to now I'm selling cleaning and buildings.
Popcorn, candy, movies, pre-sale. Yeah.
Yep, point of sale.
So yes, Dan's had a journey, and one, it's Veterans Day, and Dan is a veteran. So we salute you, Dan, and we appreciate everything you've brought to the United States in regards to serving your country. So
yeah, I guess I'm a little bit different of a veteran because I've actually seen some. I guess you would call it combat because that's what Somalia certainly seemed like. Yeah, and then Desert Storm, Desert Shield.
Yes.
So I spent 6 years in, and I guess a year and a half was in, I suppose you could call it hostile territory. So Somalia certainly felt that way.
I'm
It's
sure.
the hottest place in the world. Yeah, I remember a day was heat index was 127 degrees.
So you're in Texas, and so what's the difference from 127 to 112 in Texas? About the same, or
no, it's much worse. Yeah.
much worse.
Yeah. It was so bad we couldn't wear our helmets because they would burn your head.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it was bad. Yeah, good times. Don't miss that.
No, I bet you don't. Bet you don't.
Mm-mm.
Well, let's jump into the question. So, what are the biggest lessons you learned from Blockbuster that influenced your approach? And and Dan, you've been in the cleaning industry for 15 years, and you majority of that 15 years has been in operations.
Correct.
But you've always been, even in operations, a great salesman.
Boy, thank you.
I mean, and then you just made the full-time transition to sales.
Right.
So, what influenced that approach?
Well, at Blockbuster, like we were talking about earlier, it's point of sale. So at Blockbuster, it was you can check out customers, but the only way to drive the sales in the store was to motivate your team. And one thing that Blockbuster did was gave us a lot of great training. So in the store, it was easy to motivate people due to the fact that I connected with them a little bit. I worked in restaurants growing up. So working in restaurants, I already knew how to handle customers. And then the people that worked for me at Blockbuster were probably 18 years and below. So there were a bunch of kids, and kids want to be motivated. They're open to motivation and they want to learn. So they're like sponges. So, I mean, just because we were pushing popcorn and soda and candies, you remember what did we push? We pushed, I was trying to think of rewards memberships.
That's correct.
And
Yeah.
in East Texas, those were easy to push. There were no problems. It seemed like we just rolled them out. We do got 30, 40 a night, just increasing the membership. So, and of course, we had to clean our stores. So we always made sure we had the cleanest restrooms. So I would say the point of sale and motivating teams is my biggest thing to draw from Blockbuster to pull over to this industry.
Yeah, and I think a lot of your experience prior to Blockbuster brought a lot because your team loved you.
Oh, yeah, they were great
Yeah,
kids.
they loved you and they loved working with you. And
Yeah.
I'd still remember walking. You had a nice, clean, organized store at all
Mhm.
times. You had that military approach to
Yeah,
it,
yeah. Dress right
but
dress.
but you made it fun for the team to
Mhm,
make it
mhm.
happen. So yeah,
Yeah. Do you remember visiting? I'm not sure if you visited, but we had God, what was it? Remember the Friday nights, and they wanted to make everything themed. It theme your end caps and all that. And
yeah.
we themed that one night. We did. I had everybody either dressed like a Bond villain, or they had to do their best or worst James Bond impersonation. Yeah.
Yes.
So we all walked around checking people out, talking like bad Sean Connerys. It was really great. Uh, yeah. What's on
And
hold?
the
You'll be
customers
hopping
love
tonight.
it. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
the
that was great.
customers love it.
They did. They had a lot of fun.
Well, good
So you
deal. Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Oh,
No, you were gonna. You're talking about sharing surprising similarities between working in movie rental business. Um, that that prepared me for this role. That's about the best I can come up with was the training. So, and then remember we became district managers, and what mattered most? Remember that?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they gave us the big binder. So to this day, I still use binders. I still make notes. I still use the check marks and the little F for follow up. I do a lot of those same things.
And you're right, Dan. I mean, they had some great training.
Hmm.
Um, and
Yeah,
they didn't waste they invested a lot of money in
yeah,
regards to training. And I think it carried over to a lot of the
I do too. Yeah,
executive and managers there. So
man.
um
One of the big things was just to have fun. So
yes,
we tried.
absolutely. And keep your promises, right?
Right, right. Yeah,
What was it like, for managing teams such, different industries? Because we had direct hire there at, Blockbuster,
yeah.
and, in cleaning, you have direct hire as well, but, primarily, we are working with subcontractors.
Hmm.
What
Hmm.
how was that change and
Well,
adjustment?
okay. So I worked, as you know, with SBM and ABM, and SBM and ABM we had direct hire, and I would be involved with another young lady in hiring. I'm trying to think. McKesson was probably one of the big ones. So we picked up McKesson, and McKesson we had 49 employees at night with two night supervisors, and we had about 14 day porters, and they were all direct hire. So a little more difficult because I don't speak Spanish, although I've been married to an Hispanic woman for 39 years, so I don't have an excuse except for I just don't want to do it, so I didn't. Um, I can say muy bueno, dos tacos, por favor. That's about it. But I understand when she's angry at me, so I got that going for me. Um, yeah, it's different because these weren't kids. I mean, these are grown people, but cleaning is definitely different than retail. So I would say managing these folks was a little more of a challenge. Come to the part that you might have a call in at Blockbuster, what, one a week. Seems like in the cleaning industry, if there's 39 people working, you're usually working every night with about 29 to 30 people because you would have a lot of turnover. and people just decide it wasn't for them. And working at night is different than working during the day. Some people just don't like it, but some people love it. So you would have to figure out who your best team members are, who does the best cleaning, and then you would build your team from there. It just takes a lot longer.
Right. And then do you have to manage them differently? Do you believe
Oh gosh, do you? Yeah. Um, More hands on, because I would go to the buildings at the startups and work with them, and then I would work with the supervisor separately to make sure that some of the training we did is still ongoing, is still training, still building. Because a lot of people, they don't learn at the same capacity. Some people learn differently. Some people learn slower. Some people learn faster. So just having the patience, I think, is the similarities.
absolutely. And then, again, going back to the blockbuster training,
Yeah,
you gotta
yeah.
show them, and train them and tell them, and then let
Show and
them do
tell.
it. Yeah, show, tell, and let them
Yeah,
do it, and then
yeah.
you give them feedback. So,
Right.
yeah, it would it certainly is carried on to our future, in regards to the cleaning industry.
I agree.
So what unique challenges, did you face transitioning the cleaning industry?
You
What
know,
was
that's funny. I remember being at Select and Steve Parr. I went to a Christmas party and Steve Parr gave me the Rookie of the Year award, which is funny because you know who my competition was?
who's that?
That's nobody. Nobody is my competition. So, so I remember Randy Hunter saying, who also worked with Blockbuster with us. He goes, "Well, it's a pretty nice award there, Keels." I was like, "Yeah." He said, "You won Rookie of the Year, huh?" I said, "Yeah, I did." He goes, "Who'd you compete against?" I don't want to talk about it. So, because it was nobody. But I remember getting the award and Steve saying, "You know, you took to this industry like a fish took to water."
Yes.
So that right there should have told me from a long time ago that sales was my thing. But I continued to stay in operations. So um, I guess the it really wasn't that hard to adapt over, Danny, because we had multi-unit training.
Right.
So dealing with different properties is just like dealing with different stores, and it was all customer service. I formed good relationships with some people, Michelle Martin with Granite and Amber Bagnall at the time. I think it was Parmenter,
Yeah.
Beth Parkhurst. All those are still strong relationships, and they helped me. I picked up on tag work really quickly too, which was sales. Because
Oh,
remember,
you
I would have a goal. Yeah, I'd have a goal for sales. I would do well, I want my tag work paycheck to be half of my paycheck, and then it was I wanted to match my paycheck, then I wanted to double my paycheck. So there were times where it tripled my paycheck, which was great. So
I still remember this day, and I came join, Select right after you.
right,
Oh, what was it, 6 months or,
yep.
was it
It
a
it
yeah,
it might have been a year, but I mean I
yeah.
was already there, so I was pretty ingrained. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so I still remember walking in, and Steve Farr was right on the dot. I mean, you fish in the water, and
Hmm.
I, you're the one that initially trained me when I walked in the door, correct?
Right.
Or
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so man, I still remember to this day, walking with you and Michelle Martin and meeting
Hmm.
her and the other store managers, well,
Right.
not store managers,
No,
property
store
managers.
manager, property managers. Yeah, I
Yeah.
made that mistake a couple times. Hi, store manager. Yeah, I'm not a store manager, Mister Dan. I'm
I'm
sorry.
I'm I'm telling
Old
you,
old habits die hard.
but after, I don't know, 2, 3 months, I was like, "Man, I love this." This is,
Yeah.
being in 30 years in retail, and making that adjustment, and obviously, we had a lot of technical learning to do behind the scenes,
Right.
from a cleaning standpoint, but, once we got that down, we ran with it, but I still remember to this day, you had a Excel worksheet, and you
Hmm.
had
Hmm.
your goals and budget, and you were just keeping
Yep.
up with it on a regular basis, so,
That's the only way to do it.
yeah,
And once
absolutely.
again, that goes back to that binder and that what matters most,
Yes,
keeping track of it.
absolutely. So what one standout story from your time at Blockbuster that has stuck with you and still influences how you handle sales and client relationships today?
Okay. Well, you'll love this. So remember, we can only give so many credits on late
Oh
fees.
my
Remember?
God.
Yeah, I knew you'd like this. So, and what was the percentage? Was it 2.8% and below?
No, yes, 2% below, but we were always shooting for 1 and
One.
5
Okay.
on it,
So,
yeah.
and I never ever was over ever. I
No,
don't remember ever being over. Do you remember
no,
it being over?
I
Okay.
don't remember,
So you're the one I think that taught me to first of all just ask them for the late fee, and when
Right,
if they say something, just listen. So I would just listen to the customer. Else, I tell you what I'll do. I'll go ahead and cut this in half for you today. And how you feel about that? And the customer's like, oh, that sounds great. And I realized that doing that, I could still stay at about 1.6, 1.4. But I taught the whole staff to do the same exact thing. So it wasn't just me; it was everyone doing it. But then I remember in Terrell, when you transfer me to the store was high on credits, and I was trying to get it down. And this one customer who I realized real quickly, he was just an abuser of the system. He was
right,
not going to pay a late fee, but he
yeah,
was always late. So one day I said, I'm putting my foot down. And I told him, you know what? I'm not giving you your credit. You owe, and God, it got up to like $130. I was like, no, I'm not doing it. You're gonna pay your credits. So guess what he did?
call corporate
He
office?
he called you. That's what he did. And you called me and said, Dan, give him the credit. So unhappily, I gave him the credit. And every time he came through the door after that, he was actually pretty nice. But you know what? Ironically, he quit being late on his late fees.
Yeah,
So that
I
taught me, and I knew it before, I just had gotten tired of it. The customer is always right. Whether they're right or not, they're still always right because they can always go above your head. They can always go to the next level of management. So you might as well try to get along with the customer at the bottom level. And to this day, like I'll give you for instance, today I went with Chris and we went to talk to the guy about the epoxy. I think I told you about this already today,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And I said, Chris, when we walk in there, and I pulled it from that moment this happened with me and you. I said, just listen to the customer, just be quiet, and let him tell you what he wants. And that's exactly what the guy did. And Chris didn't have to hardly say anything after that.
yeah,
So that's
that
kind of where I drew that from.
and it worked out great for Chris.
Oh, it
I
always does.
mean, yeah, you just gotta
I,
keep on.
well, that's just why I don't worry about things as much as I used to. So it just, what's the point? It's all going to work out.
That's correct. Yeah. Very
Mhm.
true. And I think you talk about you had your challenges at Terrell, but you got it
Yeah,
down, and I think you got it down to 1.1, 1.2%
yeah,
at one
yeah.
point
There
in
was,
time. But it got that point. It got to that point because
yeah,
the previous manager was not, proactively managing it
right.
properly. So
Yeah. It just wasn't holding. Well, I didn't hold people accountable as much as I motivated them. I said, watch what I do and follow me.
yeah,
And they did.
yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, absolutely. That's what
yeah.
they teach there. So how
Mhm.
did, the decline of Blockbuster we talk about this? Well,
Oh,
we
well,
haven't talked about it a lot, but we talked about big time, after
right.
we left there. Shape your perspective on, adapting, in business, and how did you apply the mindset to your current role now?
Well, well, you remember Johnny Antiago, who was the CEO, would always come into the Athens store, and I worked a shift with him. And I quickly realized the guy didn't realize what happens at the bottom level. He had
Mm,
no clue. He was like, "Let me check out one customer," and he waited for a lady that only had one video and had no late fees. And I baby walked him through the whole thing. But if you're going to be that high in the system and you don't know what's going on at the bottom, you're going to have problems. So when he made the decisions to no more late fees,
yes.
no more late fees, really. Um, and he felt like the future was in brick and mortar, which it wasn't. Um, I mean, that our company could still be around today. It would have had morphed and changed, but it would still be around. You would still see the logo of Blockbuster on many things. But what I learned from that is adapt, um, change with the business, but change with the customer's needs. And Blockbuster failed to do that. Now look at them. Just like Kmart.
Yeah.
Um, Scott made an interesting connection today. he said that Sears was Amazon before Amazon.
That's
Think about
very
it.
true. That's
Yeah,
very
they used to send you 4 catalogs a year, and you would order from the catalogs. They had the strength of Kenmore appliances, Craftsman tools, and they were in every home in America. All they had to do was take that catalog away and switch it to the internet, and they would have lived.
Yep.
But they
Ab-
didn't, because they once again they didn't know what was going on at the bottom level. So
not changing with the times, and
yeah, yeah,
and that's what we talked about. I mean, you could have Blockbuster online, and that could have morphed into something bigger like
yeah,
Netflix, and
yeah.
I mean, easily could have
Easily.
been an adjustment there. And I kind of talk about it, and I know I'm trying to get everyone in the office to kind of transition with me, but
Mm.
the AI is coming down
Yeah.
the line, and we're seeing some very interesting roads.
Well, did you read the statement from Elon Musk today?
No,
Okay. Elon Musk said that there's a 10 to 20% chance that AI will overtake the world and be a problem.
and be a 10 to
Yeah,
15%,
10 to
and be a
20%
problem.
chance. Yeah, look it
Why?
up after we're done. His statements were very interesting. So he believes in AI just like you do, and I mean he's way in front of AI, but he's also very fearful of it.
I
He
think
knows what it's capable of.
yeah, we gotta be careful with it, but it's a great tool, and
I
that's
agree.
that's the way I'm kinda utilizing it as a tool, and hopefully it didn't get out of hand.
Well,
So
we've all seen Terminator, so we know it will.
yeah.
Yeah. Skynet's coming.
Absolutely. If you could share one piece of advice, with
Mhm.
someone facing a major industry change like you did with Blockbuster, what would it be?
Oh, let's see, a major industry change. Be open. Train from the bottom level all the way up. One of the things that helped me and it was later in my career, but one of the things that helped me at ABM and SBM is I did all the work. I ran the machines. I scrubbed the floors. I cleaned the carpet. Remember at Select, he didn't want us doing that, the liability.
Yeah.
Well, I like the fact that I learned it, and I even used a bonnet to clean the carpet, and that's the oldest way to clean the carpet that's out there. So I would tell people to be open to everything and learn from the bottom up.
And I mean, how can you learn and educate others if you don't do it yourself,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
And
I agree.
I mean, I I think you enjoyed that. I remember you. I know you left Select. I left Select and went in and done a couple different things, and
Right.
uh, from we won't go there, but
Yeah,
um, yeah. And I came back to the business, but I certainly I learned a lot digging in and going out with the ICs, but in turn, you seemed like you went out there and did a lot
yeah.
of hands-on. And
You hear
you
my dog
made
in the background?
yeah, I could hear him.
He's a knucklehead. He's running around in circles.
We gotta throw that ball or frisbee at him.
He's just running around in circles. I'm not sure what. That's how he gets his energy out. There you go.
What was the most surprising part of moving in the cleaning business after working in the unrelated field?
Oh, good. The freedom. I
I
mean,
agree. I agree.
yeah. We work at Blockbuster. Remember peak night visits? Oh boy, yeah.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Peak night visits Friday night. And me and you had the same territory. So for those that don't know, both of us had East Texas.
Yeah.
So Friday night, I would leave the house here in Roy City, and I would drive all the way out to Sulphur Springs. Then I'd leave Sulphur Springs, and I'd go far out to Mount Pleasant, and that's a good. God, it was probably an hour and 45 minutes away.
Yes.
And then
Marshall.
uh, yeah, Marshall. I did a peak visit out there. And I didn't stay in a hotel room. I just worked the thing and came back. So, um, yeah, I like the freedom.
Yeah, that's the nice part of it. You're not I mean, you got a lot more flexibility.
Well, think about it. We get Christmas home, and we have a great, thanks to Dan Chandler, we have a great holiday coming up because he's given us all that time off. And at Blockbuster, we were working. Yeah,
No, very
yeah,
true. That's
yeah.
the prime time.
Oh, yeah.
Christmas Eve, Christmas. I what we did
Yep.
shut the doors on Christmas Day though, right? I think we did.
Did
There at
we? I don't
Blockbuster.
remember.
Yeah,
I don't
Christmas
remember.
Eve. Yeah, Christmas Eve. I think we,
Shut down early.
yeah, shut down early on Christmas
Yeah,
Day.
I think you're right. I think we did close Christmas Eve
Yeah,
and Thanksgiving, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And that
Okay.
that was
Yeah,
pretty much it. That
yeah
was
that was
other than that.
because I worked many a New Year's Eve and a New Year's Day.
And then when you came back from the holidays, what was in the Dropbox? A bunch
A
of
hundred
movies.
thousand movies. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You'd open up the door and they just scatter all across the floor. You have to run from them. They'd be like, oh, yeah, it's like that. Yeah, it's too
Well,
funny.
I this James is kind of requesting us to really do a YouTube I don't know, get all the Blockbuster colleagues on YouTube or a podcast,
Oh my God, that would
uh,
be fun.
and
Yeah.
he just get us reminiscing about Blockbuster. I think he's wanting us to get something going there, but I think
Okay.
he'll appreciate this what we were talking about tonight.
Yeah, probably so. Yeah.
Look into your current journey from Blockbuster, now sales
Mm.
operations in the cleaning industry. What do you think is the common thread that drives your success? Let's put it that way.
Mm. Um, soft skills.
Yeah.
Soft skills. Um, to take something people tell you, situations people tell you, and I didn't learn that just from Blockbuster. I learned it from the military. Um, in the military, people told me things to my face you just wouldn't tell another human being. They'd call you any name they wanted. So they broke you all the way down, built you back up. And then I had a hard dad. He was a workaholic. So he was very, I don't think the man said, I love you till I was about 45 years old. So I was just brought up in a different culture. Work hard, do your work, uh, and just do what you're told without making a big fuss. So as I got older, I took that same perspective into the work world, and I give people respect right off the bat, whether they deserve it or not. And I try to work with people, and I try to treat them the way I want them to treat me. So that's been very successful.
And that's pretty much how you lived your life.
Yeah,
Is that Rosemary? Is that right?
yeah. She wants her cigar. She wants to smoke up the rest of it.
Well, good
Yeah.
deal. Well, Dan, thank you so much for your time. If you can stay on afterwards, but
Mhm.
man, thank you for sharing your experiences.
Yeah.
And your time. I know this is your family time, and
No, this is Miami Dolphin football time in about 4 minutes. Oh,
and
actually, it's 5 minutes overdue.
a 5 minutes
You think the
overdue.
Dolphins have turned over the ball yet? We'll see. Who knows?
Oh, too funny. Well,
Yeah,
good deal.
all
Well,
good.
thank you so much, Dan. If hang on 1 second, and
Sure.
we'll get with you. But thank you again, Dan. We appreciate it, and it was a bunch of fun.
Talk to you later. See
Thank
you in
you
the
for
morning.
watching Dan the Cleaning Man channel.